I love talking about credit. Credit cards, credit scores, whatever. This is where I really earned my Rebel of Wall Street stripes. We don't get paid to sell you products, we get paid to give you no bullshit, real deal advice. So I'm not gonna tell you what credit cards are best, I'm gonna tell you the best way to use them. So many people assume credit cards are bad news. That's because we've all been in over our heads at some point, or at least know someone who has. That's what happens when we think of credit cards as being free money, or as a way of supporting our lifestyle. Friend's bachelor party in Berlin, put it on a credit card. All new Bang & Olufsen sound system, credit card. Shit hits the fan, credit card. This chapter is about how to use your credit card the right way. My first piece of advice, use your credit card like a debit card. Mama said it wasn't gonna be easy. Instead of thinking of your credit card as free money, start thinking of it as a smarter way to use the money you already have. Translation, don't buy anything with your credit card that you don't already have the cash for. I repeat, don't buy anything with your credit card that you don't already have the cash for. That way, you'll never have to deal with a balance that you can't pay off, which, as we talked about earlier, is a pretty good indication that you're living a lifestyle you can't afford. So let's get a couple things straight. If you're still using the same credit card from college, it's probably time to upgrade. If you're using a credit card from the same place you bank, it might be worth noting you don't have to. You need a credit card that makes the most sense for you, one that has a rewards program that aligns with what you're already spending your money on, so you can maximize those rewards points and cash them in for the stuff you want, like travel or groceries or movie tickets, whatever floats your boat. As you're researching a new credit card, don't get caught up in details that don't matter. In most cases, as long as you pick the right card, the annual fee is one of those who cares details. Why? Because the annual fee will pale in comparison to the benefits you're gonna get when you pick the right card. This is where your research is gonna come in handy. There are tons of sites where you can input what you spend in categories like groceries and travel and gas, etc., and find out what cards have rewards programs that you can get the most out of. You'll find my favorites in the resources section. You also shouldn't think too hard about the annual percentage rate or interest rate, because as long as you pay off the balance in full and on time every month, it actually doesn't matter. Credit card companies feed into this idea that credit cards are free money by making you think you only owe your minimum every month. If you only paid your minimum every month, that's when the APR would start to affect you in a majorly negative way. But if you're paying your balance off in full every month, you don't even need to look at the APR. Another credit card misconception, if you really want to save money, you should use your debit card instead. No. You get exactly $0 in benefits from using a debit card. They don't have serious rewards programs, they're a pain in the ass to replace when they're lost or stolen, and they don't offer any of the extras like credit cards usually do, like price protection, rental car insurance, airport lounge access, and so on. The only exception, rent payments. We're all about racking up rewards points, but rent is the one thing you should never put on your credit card. More often than not, you'll end up paying a transaction fee that negates the benefit. The fee is typically around 3%, so make sure you read the fine print. Overall, the big lesson here is not to swear off credit cards, just to use them better. Time is money, so spend it wise. Okay, I need your undivided attention here, because I'm about to spill the tea. This is one of my favorite tips, and while it sounds super basic, it's actually kind of life-changing. Instead of paying off your credit card balance when the statement says it's due, pay it off the day after the billing cycle closes. The logic here is that you wipe the slate clean and start fresh for the next month. When you log into your credit card site or app, you'll always see a fresh 30 days worth of charges. If you've ever logged in and thought, I don't know what all these numbers mean, this is for you. Pay off your balance as soon as your billing cycle closes, and you'll eliminate all the confusion. One more tip. You can actually change when your billing cycle ends. It's usually just an arbitrary date set by your credit card company. So if you're up for it, call the company and have them change the cycle so that it lines up with the end of the month. Psychologically, this makes it way easier to understand what you've already spent on your card. For example, let's say you're trying to spend $1,500 or less on your card every month. If you log in on the 15th of the month and see that you have a balance of $1,000, you know you have $500 left to spend. If you've got several cards or an old card or weird store cards, you may be tempted to cut them all up. Hold off for a second. Let's talk this out. Store cards, go ahead and close those. Studies show that we tend to spend more money at a store once we open their store card. Credit cards with high annual fees and bullshit rewards, you can close those too. Your oldest credit card, well, that depends. Closing your oldest card, especially if you're looking to buy a home or make some other big financial move in the coming months, is usually a bad idea. Your oldest card has your longest credit history, which can be super useful in securing a loan. If you don't have another, better card with equally long history, then just stick it in a drawer and don't use it, especially if it doesn't have a high annual fee. If you get a notice from your bank threatening to close your card, which usually won't happen unless they see a few years of inactivity, tell them you were just about to use it and they'll keep it open. Then use it to buy something, pay off the balance in full, and stick it back in the drawer. Credit history maintained. Okay, so let's summarize all of that. 1, use credit cards like debit cards. Only charge something if you have the cash to pay for it. 2, if you're still using a perk-free card, it's time to upgrade. Look for a card that gives you rewards or cash for the things that you actually buy, and don't worry about the APR. 3, pay your card off in full every single month. Better yet, pay it off the day after the billing cycle ends. 4, don't be afraid to close bad cards and keep the right cards open. The other thing that we need to talk about when it comes to credit scores. They're not as complicated as the internet makes them seem. Essentially, a credit score is a number that financial institutions use to evaluate how likely you are to pay them back when you ask to borrow money. High is good, low is bad. The higher the score, the more likely they are to think that you'll pay them back, which means they'll be more likely to let you borrow money at a low interest rate. If you have a crappy score, they'll assume that if they lend you money, you might miss a payment or not pay them back at all, and that's going to make it hard for you to borrow. What all this boils down to, a healthy credit score is important when you want to make big purchases, like financing a new car or buying your first house. You want to be able to borrow money at the lowest interest rate possible because the lower your interest rate, the less expensive it is to borrow the money. In some cases, a good interest rate can mean tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in savings over the life of your loan.
Time is money, so spend it wise.
The easiest way to maintain a healthy credit score is to pay your bills on time. 35% of your credit score is attributed to how consistent you are paying off your credit card and your bills on time. Just do it, always, forever. If someone told you that keeping a balance on your credit card helps your credit score, please do not get financial advice from that person ever again. That's absolutely not true. Any revolving balance on a credit card negatively impacts your credit score. Okay, moving on. I want to spend time talking about the second largest component of your credit score because it's the easiest one to fix. Enter credit utilization ratio, or CUR. Credit utilization ratio is how much credit you're using relative to how much credit is available to you. Credit cards are the easiest way to explain this. Let's say you have 2 credit cards, each with a $5,000 limit. That means you have $10,000 in available credit. If you charge $1,000 across both cards, you're using 10% of your available credit, making your CUR 10%. As soon as you pay off your $1,000 balance, your CUR goes back to 0. Keeping your CUR at or under 30% is ideal. But if you're trying to hack your way to a better credit score, the lower your CUR, the better. You can even hack the hack. If you want to bump up your credit score quickly, keep your CUR as low as possible by paying your credit card balance off more often. For example, pay it off every week or every 2 weeks instead of at the end of your billing cycle. That way, you've got less time to rack up a big balance that can negatively affect your score. Another way to keep your CUR low is by having a few lines of credit open. This increases your total available credit and keeps you from hitting your limit on just one card. 2 or 3 credit cards is usually the right number for most people, as long as you keep the balances low and pay them off every month. You can also call your credit card company and ask them to increase your limit. Typically, they'll do this about once a year. If you've been paying your bills on time, they'll usually do it no problem. This strategy to keep your CUR low and your credit score high only works if you don't take advantage of your new limit. For example, if you have a credit card with a $5,000 limit and you normally charge up and pay off around $1,000 at a time, you're utilizing 20% of your available credit. If your credit card company increases the limit on your card to $10,000, but you still charge up and pay off $1,000 at a time, you'll only be using 10% of your available credit. you've decreased your CUR, which increases your credit score. Let me be clear, this only works if you don't increase your spending along with your credit limit. Keep your limit high and your balance low, and you're golden. Check out the resources section for our favorite tools for monitoring your credit score and much more.
Hi, I'm Michael Brown, out here on the mean streets of New York trying to find out just how good at saving money New Yorkers really are. This is Benny for Your Thoughts.
Oh, I'm feeling like
This is important. Anything that you guys want in life, you should print it out on a computer. Let's say it's a house, a car, a vacation. Print it out, put it on the mirror where you look at every day. So it's a goal that you see, and it's in your face.
Can you describe your relationship with credit cards in one word?
Fine. Responsible. I only have one. Pay it off every month.
How many do you each have?
2.
Now I have about 2. I just recently built in credit because I'm 22.
So we want to ask you some spicier questions, and would you be willing to answer them for $100?
Yes.
What is the worst financial decision you guys have made thus far in your lives?
My surfboard, actually. 2 weeks, and then I broke it.
I guess it was paying some vacation that I did not have the money for.
Probably like on clothes and
Right.
shoes where it's like, okay, if I looked at the amount that I maybe spent that month, a lot.
How's your credit score looking?
Credit score is about, I'm not gonna lie, it's like in the 600s right now. It's in the 6.
Remember, this is for $100 between all of you guys.
I knew this was gonna happen. I'm like,
It's not a trick.
So it's looking a little rough, but if you look at that credit score, fantastic. It's 747.
Saw some red in there, but that's all right.
there it is. No, those are charges.
Those are charges. Okay.
Oh, you said you got a grand like that?